Most of those elections ended up in the courts because we felt dissatisfied with the outcomes. The popular opinion on the field will say that we won those elections, but the results that we announced were always very different. And being somebody who does not like to be cheated, who insists on having his rights, we have been tenacious in making sure that we got our mandatory claim. So that took us from one election to another. But the good news is, times are changing. The circumstances have changed.
What circumstances?
The circumstances, what happened in Delta State could not have happened except there was institutional support from elsewhere. Right there in Delta State, we overpowered PDP. But the influence from outside the state always made it impossible for us to take our mandate.
What influence?
The influence from Abuja, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
You mean
the security issues, the INEC controlled PDP at that time, and of course the power of incumbency at the federal level then, with the PDP sitting president. Incidentally, Delta State seemed to have been their cash cow for that party, and they didn't want to let go. But this time around, PDP is not at the federal level as a government. The president of our country is not PDP, and it's not PDP compliant. So we believe that given the right circumstances, a level playing field, we will trounce them in those elections that will come in the next few weeks.
You are saying now that the situation is going to be flipped now, in which case you are in the driver's seat, in the sense that you have security control, you have support government in the center. Are you now saying that what the PDP did to skew the elections, you are going to lay yourself liable in case it favors you, that you took advantage of what they are already taking advantage of? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm No, that's far from it. Far from it. Yeah, the layman will think that way.
Yes, it will be like revenge.
No. It's not a business of revenge. It's a governance issue. And then, of course, issue of principle, style, and character. The PDP and the APC are different parties with different philosophies. The APC will not think like that. The APC wants to win an election fair and square. In spite of the fact that they have all the institutional support, APC will want to see a more level playing field for everybody. And if you heard the president, he said it. He's not out to do to them what they had always done to him. I share in the same view that I'm not looking, if you gave me all the opportunities to rig an election, I will find it very difficult to do so. Because I want to stand and speak to the people of Delta State as a governor elected by them. And I will find it extremely difficult to stand before them knowing that I cheated to get to that office. If I cheat to get to that office, I may not be able to perform. But if I have the correct mandate of the people, which is what I seek, I believe I will represent them adequately, and I'm sure they'll be satisfied. But to take advantage of the structure, the governance structure, institutional structure, no, that's not what I seek. I seek a level playing field from all the institutions, police, INEC, soldiers, whoever is in charge.
Well, what has always been the discussion on elections in Delta State is that there is the election that takes place on land, and there is the election that takes place in water. And that if you control the water, you control the elections. Controlling the water is also a metaphor for manipulating the figures and so on. Do you think that the structures are in place or are foolproof, or shall I say, waterproof?
Yeah, waterproof because of the riverine communities.
Yes.
Nobody can tell you today if it is foolproof, waterproof, or otherwise. But I believe that with the procedures that have been put in place by INEC in the voting, accreditation and voting, it will minimize the irregularities that came from all of those places. especially with the issue of incident forms that I'm told will not be part of the exercise, and the enhanced card reader that has been brought to play. If you add the totality of all of that, it will tell you that yes, there might still be minor irregularities here and there, but that wholesale irregularity that took place in those places, in about 5 local governments, will not be there. Delta State has been shortchanged tremendously because of those 5 local governments. Worry North, Worry South, Worry Southwest, Burutu, Bomadi, those are the places where there are some people who describe them as the axis of electoral evil. But things, we are not, that is the past. That is the past. And we believe that, yes, going forward, it should be different.
Does it mean that the people of the Delta State have become docile? Because you don't get this kind of rumble, news items from Delta State. They seem to be, after the election, there seem to be silence. Don't you think that even though the people of Delta might have been rigged progressively, they have come to conform?
No, it's not true.
So they are new oppressors. So they call the Stockholm syndrome, that you now bond with your oppressor.
No. Yes, there is that issue of docility, as you want to call it, but it's not so. We have taught them over the years to be conformist within the context of the electoral laws and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is to say, don't take the laws into your hands. The fact that you are cheated is no license for you to become violent. So what do? We go to the election tribunal. Let us determine the issues. Let us determine the issues and to see if we are favored. Unfortunately, the judiciary was not kind to the people of Delta State. Was not kind to us at all. But well, that is for another discussion. They were not kind to us because at so many instances that could have made them change the narrative, they didn't do so.
Some people have said that in every case you've gone to electoral tribunal, the courts, to challenge the alleged heist of your victory. Yeah. You have tended to let it go and even cohabited with the people who you fought, that you came to terms with them. People have always said that, oh, if Ogboru loses after the election, we become friends again. So no. I am one man who respects the sanctity of the mandate of the people. I am not able to negotiate it either way, plus or minus. I am not able to add or subtract to what the people have said. Therefore, I must follow strictly the stipulates of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and to follow those procedures and the processes legitimately, lawfully, to a logical conclusion. Having done that, I rest my case. But does that make me an enemy to those people? No, we're opponents. Does it make them good guys? I don't agree. But should I fight or have issues, personal issues with them because of it? No. But I have also not been able to fraternize with them. For instance, up until the former governor Dwaga joined our party, I only met him in the social functions. I never visited him one day. We never sat one day. We never had any meeting anywhere in this world, except I met him in a public place. The same thing will go for James Ogboru. We have never sat. When I came back to this country some years ago, I had a brief meeting with him. And after that, we never met again, except maybe on 1 or 2 occasions. I am not able to negotiate the mandate of the people of Delta State, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm sorry. That's interesting. Now, let us go back a little bit. The primaries were a little contentious, and we still have the Emerald group and so on, still saying, well, you didn't get the primary victory the right way. There's this sense that there's bitterness within the APC. How well are you along the line of bringing them together?
Well, bitterness may not be justified because they know deep down in them that they were defeated fair and square. We did not manipulate the process. We did not do anything untoward. We did not take any advantage of any situation to get any vote against anybody. So whatever vote we got through the tint of hard work and the following or the followership that we have in the party. And of course, the confidence that they have in the leadership that is coming, which is mine. So if there is in their mind some ill feelings, it is not called for, it is not justified. Having said that, we took time to get into dialogue with one or two of them, or in fact, all of them. At one time, the party set up a reconciliation committee to douse feelings. At another time, the national chairman of our party took the initiative to bring everybody together. That also went. And then at the apex of leadership of the country, the vice president of our country called all of us and that we should come together. That process is still ongoing as a track 2 process. Whereas they are in court, we are still discussing these issues. I believe that at the end of the day, we will resolve the issues amicably.
The former governor, Emmanuel Ogboru, has joined the APC. He was also there at the rally in Warri. How have you been relating to each other, being former rivals?
You know, that man is also my in-law, you know. His daughter was married to my nephew.
So you were in-laws when you were rivals?
Yes. But you see, even when we took him to court and the court removed him for a period of time,
yes,
and he was now out of office, we had to do a rerun election. We met in the INEC office and we held hands and came out. There was no love lost. There was one thing that Dr. Emmanuel Ogboru would tell you. All throughout the period he was in office or were in court, we never had any personal issues. I never one day said something negative about him. I didn't go to press to disturb his government. I just termed that period of his governance as illegality, and I left it at that. Whatever he did for me, even if he built all the castles in this world, I wasn't going to be satisfied. But then, there cannot be a lacuna in governance. So he had to fill in, and he did what he did. But to be frank with you, working with him today, we can see that we can bond together. We can see that we have shared experiences we can put together to help the party to grow. And some of the conceptions we had of each other are not quite so today.
Like what?
And they may have thought that I was a very unruly kind of person because that's what they tell them. But he finds in me a different kind of person. I respect him because he's my elder. I give him the respect because he was also a former governor. So with that, I haven't got any problems dealing with him at all. And when there are issues there, he intervenes like a statesman, and I appreciate that. Even when people want to go against the grain, he says, no, what Great is saying is the right thing, and that's where we have to go. So we bond at that level. It's a privilege we're working together. All those things we put behind us, and we're looking forward for Delta State.
You no longer regard when it was in power as an illegality?
It's past. What can you do?
It's a past illegality.
It's a past illegality. It's now. I never call him Excellency then.
You never did?
I never, but now I call him Excellency.
That means you have already accepted the illegality. If you call him
I've not accepted it. He has exhausted it. The fusion of time is gone. There's nothing else. What am I going to? Am I going to recreate the world? No. That's past. It's gone. I'm not going to kill Ogboru because something went wrong between the two of us. No. Now we are looking forward to how we are going to help our state. And I can tell you deep down in him, he knows that he made several mistakes, and this is an opportunity for him to help us correct it.
There's another looming figure in Delta politics, and that is Chief Ogboru. He is now he's pitching his battle against you in this contest because he is not a governor now, but he is pitching a battle as a supporter of the incumbent, as Ifeanyi Okowa. Now, how do you make of his content? Because it's also from your own stronghold, which is the Igbo land.
Let me tell you. First and foremost, Chief James Ogboru is not a member of the APC. He's a PDP man.
Yes.
And a very strong and powerful leader in that party. So you are not going to expect James Ogboru to come and be a share leader in my own party. He has to defend the integrity of his party and support all their candidates. But whether that we say, well, if that is enough to translate into votes in our stronghold is another question. When he was governor, he was not able to take the votes from Delta Central from us. Now he's not contesting, he's not on the ballot. I'm not so sure he'll be able to do so. I'm not so sure.
So you're saying that it's of no rivalry to PDP, is that what you're saying?
In Delta Central,
yes,
we control the votes. The people are there. 95% of the people of Delta Central are APC, they're not PDP. So James Ogboru's influence in Delta Central is going to be minimal, very minimal. But outside the state, he has other areas in which he can help Okowa, which we may not be able to stop. So he's also he's an asset. You can't take that away. But not in Delta Central. In Delta Central, he won't be. There's one local government, that's his own local government. It's been a problem area for us. It still might be a problem area, we don't know. But it may not be as bad as it used to be. Yeah.
You're saying it's going to be useful from outside the party?
Yes, that's the only place he can help them. Outside Delta Central.
Outside Delta State.
Outside Delta Central in particular. He may be able to help them in Delta North, or in parts of Delta South, or in Abuja.
How in Abuja?
Abuja, well, he has friends everywhere. James Ogboru is a very powerful politician.
He's going to use the same infrastructure that they used when
he will not have access to those, but he can beg. But he will not be able to get there. Nobody's going to listen to him there. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it has been said that one of the strong reasons Okowa should have a second term is that there is rotation of governorship in Delta State, and that Okowa has done his first term. That is entitled to have a second term, just as Ogboru had his 2 terms and Udoma had his 2 terms from Delta South, and that it's time for Delta North. And the case has been made that it is their right to have it this time.
Well, this issue of zoning does not have anything to do with us in the APC. If you remember correctly, I contested against Chief James Ogboru.
Yes.
Both of us are robos. When I was doing so, I had support from Delta North, from Delta Central, and from Delta South. They didn't tell me then that there was a zoning. And then, of course, we know how that went. I contested against Dr. Emmanuel Oduaga. He was from Delta South. If I remember correctly, I had 45% of the votes from Delta North in those elections. And I had close to 70% of the votes in Delta Central in those elections. It was from Delta South, from those riverine communities that I told you that we got worsted. Nobody said then that there was zoning.
That's a strong word.
Pardon?
That's a strong word.
No, but it's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. The facts are not going to change. My relationship with Oduaga will not change the facts. The facts are going to be there forever. Can't change them. Truth will last forever. Yeah. When I was doing that with Chief Dr. Oduaga, nobody said that there was zoning. The people in Delta North voted for me. They worked for me. They gave me 45% of the votes there, even if some of them were secured. In any case, in all of those elections, there has never been any time in which any senatorial district was precluded. All the elections for Delta State governorship had been contested for by persons from different senatorial districts. There's never been at any time where it was said that for the sake of zoning, everybody should leave it for Delta North. No. But Oduaga won a second term by stint of hard work and the mercy of the courts. James Ogboru escaped by whiskers, by the grace of God. Okowa may not be so lucky. That's the problem.
Are you so sure?
He may not be so lucky. I just told you. First, that government has not performed. Let's face it, they've not performed. They performed on newspapers and on television. But if you went to Delta State today, it's probably the dirtiest state in the entire Federal Republic of Nigeria. From one end of the state to the other state is filth. On both sides of the road are bush and dirt that are waiting for somebody to clean up, and which is not being cleaned up, and there is no initiative. The issue of jobs has become an issue because there are no initiatives to create opportunities. Not only that, there has been no new industries in the state in the past 4 years, which means that what is there is diminishing. So it's not a very popular government, and the people from Delta State are not going to sacrifice themselves or commit suicide because somebody from a particular ethnic group or from a particular zone wants to become governor for a second term. No, if he should campaign on his achievements. If the people of Delta State believe that he did well, they'll vote for him. But trying to tell the people of Delta State that he must do a second term, that is not an argument at all, and nobody listens to him. In any case, it is unconstitutional and it is not justiciable, so you cannot talk about it.
So it's convention.
There's nothing like convention. Any convention that is not backed by a constitution must be held with caution.
I agree. Delta State is a multi-ethnic state. Really a multi-ethnic state.
I agree.
You have Ogboru, you have all of them.
Yes.
And you have ties with almost everywhere. Post ties
yes,
here,
yes,
ties
yes.
there, and so on and so forth.
I was going to deepen the argument that if it were on the basis of blood, I am also an Anioma person because my mother is still living. 3/4 of my blood is Anioma because 2 of my grandparents are Anioma. My mother is Anioma. So if you take my parents, my grandparents and my parents, 4 of them, 3 of them are from Delta North. It's only my father that is from Delta. So that tells you that I have 3/4 of Anioma in me. And in my house, we speak both Kwale and Urobo and any other language that we can speak, including English. Pidgin English inclusive. So it is unthinkable for you to bring such a proposition to me that the basis for leadership must be where you come from. It does not matter to me at all because I am liberated from those type of mundane thoughts.
So you are the one calling for meritocracy rather than ethnic balance. But it doesn't really work in multi-ethnic society.
No. It cannot work. It cannot work because that turn-by-turn leadership only leads to mendacity and mediocrity. And at the end of the day, turn-by-turn is just an opportunity or an euphemism for cutting away the wealth and the wealth of the people and then instituting bad leadership and impunity. We want to see a government that is standing on its toes based on the fact that they believe that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must be respected, that the will of the people must be respected, that their resources must be well used, accounted for, meaning that they take responsibility and they discharge that responsibility by accounting for it. We don't want a government that is an overlord, that is not responsible to anybody, because the truth of the matter is that the PDP government has never been responsible to anybody in Delta State.
That's interesting. So when all of this is over, and if you become the next governor of Delta State, what is it that you will do differently?
I have just told you some of the things that I would do differently. If I have enumerated some ills.
Yeah, you mentioned the ills.
I mentioned the ills. But yes, the fact that you are able to identify those ills means that you have to do things differently. For instance, the critical thing right now, in my view, one of the things that has to be done urgently is to change the level of environmental degradation that has taken place in the state. We have been talking about oil pollution having degraded the environment, but I can tell you The human degradation that we give to Delta State is worse than the oil pollution.
Explain.
Explain. Have you not been there?
Of course.
If you have been to Delta State recently, you will find that like the Warri you knew is not the same Warri you are seeing today.
Okay.
Warri has not improved one iota from what you knew 20 years ago. If anything, it's getting smaller, getting uglier, getting dirtier, and then getting even more risky. That nightlife has become a challenge. You can't go out at night anymore. When we were younger, we could leave Ughelli at 12 midnight. We'll drive to Warri for a party. You cannot try that today because life is no more guaranteed. There's no security, safety anymore in Delta State. So that's something we have to look at. But you know what's causing that? The leadership and the environment. And there's a strong correlation between leadership and environment. Very strong correlation. If you see a responsible leader or responsible leadership, you will find that the first thing they want to do is to make sure that the environment is well taken care of. And then there is security of lives and property. Having done those two things, then we start to talk about jobs, schools, housing, and things like that. And then talking about them in a qualitative manner. But that's not what they are doing in Delta State at all. On the contrary, I am suspicious of the fact that subtly they may be encouraging insecurity, that they may be able to continue to deceive the people with all of these false narratives of turn-by-turn leadership. Because if the people are enlightened, they will ask questions. They want to know how much they earned as a government. They want to know what those monies were spent for. They want to know which of the priorities were, in which those spendings took place. Because the priorities are important also. That you spend government money is one thing, but if you are not getting the priorities right, that's another issue. So not only are you going to be prudent, you must have your priorities right. And I think that this government is not sensible enough to have its priorities, if they have at all. There's only one priority I know they have: to employ thousands and thousands of SAs, which will become polling agents or campaign agents for a governor. It is unheard of. It's unheard of. And if you go to Delta State and ask the teachers, they will tell you that they have been shortchanged. They are promoted and they are not paid. Some of them will tell you that they have changed the pension scheme in such a way that now even local government workers have a better pension take home than themselves. We are going to look at all of those issues, but there's really job apathy, there's real apathy dissonance in the state from the state employees. That also will have to change. And then there was one critical one Chief Kokori was talking of the other day, and Dr. Emmanuel Odwaga. He made sure that these WAEC payments were free. This government came back, instead of developing and deepening the investment in the human resources portfolio, reversed that and now asking people to go and pay 25,000 naira instead of 12,000 naira for WAEC payments. WAEC is charging 25, but the state is asking them to pay charging 12,000, but the state is asking them to pay 25.
Are you saying they're ripping off this?
I don't know what they are doing. Instead of saying it should be free, it says they should come and pay for it. So these are issues, but other issues that you have to really look at. What are the areas of opportunities for Delta State? In what areas do we have core competence, cognate experience that we can invest in that will be beneficial to the state? I've not seen anything new in the state. There's nothing new at all. There are no new industries.
What new industries are you going to introduce?
Look, oil and gas is a sector that we have to look at critically. The marine sector is a sector we have to look at critically. But if we ask them to go out and tap the potentials there, we know they do not have the capital to do so. So we will come up with a scheme in which we will look at the issues, encourage Deltans to invest in those places in a partnership scheme with the state. We are going to have even small partnership. It doesn't matter. We will help you. Not only with seed capital, we will help you with know-how. We will help you to grow your business. We put a template on ground that can make sure that over years they can take off, and then we can de-invest and they can own their businesses. But it must be radical in its orientation. It cannot be piecemeal, it must be holistic. Because any piecemeal approach today is asking the people to commit genocide by installment. The people are dying.
That's interesting. I have to use this fish metaphor because we understand it as somebody who knows about fish business. Yeah. They have said that the finances, some people have said that the finances in Delta State have been so bad, they are like holding a basket, a fish basket, without fish inside. It's smelling of fish, but there's no fish.
Yes. Yeah, well, you actually bring to governance your past experiences. The man who is there now, I'm not so sure, has any entrepreneurial thinking in his head, has no investment initiative in his head, and cannot understand how you could put a portfolio of a mix of portfolio to benefit the people, because he's never been that kind of person. He's never been creative. He's not somebody who can conceptualize and implement. That's a lawmaker. It's the job of a lawmaker and that of a chief executive are different things. Managing resources, human resources, financial resources, and material resources, it's a different kind of thinking. It's not like making laws. That's a different kind of thinking completely. You have to understand how to put those mix together to make the end result good. And I'm not sure he understands that. It's not his background. It's not his thinking, it's not his way of life. He's never been brought up in that kind of environment. So he's not really helpful to us, and that's the truth.
Now finally, let's look at the presidential election. The president was there, handed the flag to you and all of that. And he said, oh, yes. Yeah, we understand all of that. But since 1999, Delta has never voted other than for PDP presidential election, and massively at that. How there was no story about whether it was otherwise. It was not even really challenged at the center. How do you expect? Given the crowd was quite impressive. Many people were really dazed at the crowd. How do you translate that into a presidential win? Or is it just about Ogboru's victory and not Buhari's victory?
No, far from it. I had already laid the foundation for that question. I told you earlier on, PDP, Delta State is not a PDP-controlled state. There's a PDP government there, but the people are not PDP compliant. Majority of the people of Delta State do not believe in PDP, and they do not believe in their philosophy, and they don't want PDP. We had problems in the past, and I told you institutional problems that made it impossible for any non-PDP members to win elections there. Okay, I can tell you what the last election, the president won at the federal. He didn't win in Delta State. First, Jonathan had about 500,000 or 600,000 votes. They said it was not enough, they had to increase it. So it was not about actual voting. But now, the APC, which is the president's party, is very solidly on ground today. All the opposition elements that were outside have come into the party, and we are now working. The campaign structure alone for Mr. President in that state for the presidential election is more than 3 times the votes he got in Delta State in the last election. It's a big difference. My campaign organization alone is about 40,000 people. If we add the president's campaign organization and the senators, so we have over 200,000 people already who are working for elections in Delta State right now. All of them are going to vote for APC. And like our national chairman said in that rally, and you saw the rally yourself, it was one of his kind. Our national chairman identified properly that what he was seeing there was 10 times more what they saw before, which is to say, if you have to extrapolate from that, if the president got about 440,000 votes before, he should be getting 400,000 votes. But we're not looking at 400,000 votes. We're looking at 75% of the votes cast in Delta State. That's what the president will get. And it is not me. Yes, my influence there and telling them that that is the right way to go is important. But on his own credentials, the people love the president because they believe in him. They believe he has integrity. They believe he's honest. They believe he's doing his best for the country. And they believe that he has done better than PDP, even when his circumstances were bad. With less monies, he has achieved far much more. So the people believe that giving him another 4 years will set the stage for the development of this country proper. Even if he's not going to achieve it, they know that it is far better to have him there than to put this country on a reverse gear. The truth of the matter is PDP has no business talking about coming to rule this country again. They squandered over 10 years monies that should have been used for 10 years to run this country. They put the country in big debts. I made an analysis some time ago. The money required to run this government for 10 years was treated away by them by all sorts of excuses. And then how do you expect the president who has recovered trillions from a PDP government to now come and say we should go and hand over power to PDP? Or a people who know that these are the facts will now say they want PDP to come and form a government. PDP cannot form a federal government in Nigeria now. I'm even surprised that they were not ashamed enough to change the name of the party. Still campaigning on PDP is a disservice to Nigeria and to the party. Because the truth of the matter is that if it were the old Buhari, the issues would have been treated differently. And I'm not joking about it. What those guys did to this country is not something we should forget in a hurry. And to be talking about voting for one of the actors that created that problem, it's a big slap to the Nigerian people, and we should be very careful.
All right. That has been a conversation with great Ogboru, the APC candidate for governorship in Delta State. Very articulate and cool. Thank you very much for being on my show.
Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching the program today. You can catch up with my published columns and articles on my website, www.samomashe.com. Also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @SamOmashe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Until the next time, be good.